onward we go to I Want to Love You Till Your Dying Day. Greg, how are you feeling about this show? You said before that you're really enjoying and you like where the storyline's going, but obviously you can give us a little bit more.
Yeah, because it started off first where it's just like, ooh, like kids kissing, weird. Oh, restorative magic through my mouth, right? And it's kind of like, all right, cool. But now we're getting a little bit more insight into more Mimi than anything. Like, why is Mimi the way that she is? How did she become this way?
This whole show is fucked up.
Yeah.
We were already getting there with child soldiers, but...
Yeah. And, I mean, it does bring up some decent... I mean, this is a little future knowledge, but it's not spoiling. It does bring in some like decent questions of, yes, like Mimi is an anomaly, but as the grown-ups and everything, like, what do we do? Like, if we send Mimi out every single time, she just comes back and restores herself and is just ready to do some more fighting. But if we don't do that, then that means all of the kids have to fight. And then there's going to be way more casualties than sending Mimi out solo. So Mimi's kind of like shouldering this war burden by herself to like minimize the casualties of like everyone else, even though it's fucked up. So they do bring up like a lot of good questions on what is war? Why are we doing war? When we're making decisions in wartime, is that decision solely based on like limiting casualties, even though we're just like completely fucking over one person, as long as we can save more people?
What is the worth of a life? Baldur's Gate did a great job in the beginning where it's like, you ask the question from Withers, or you answer the question from Withers, is like, what is life worth? What is the worth of a single life? And it gets you in the mood of like what Baldur's Gate is, because you have to answer that question a lot of the time. I think that this show getting into that, and like once we find out what the war is about, we can answer that question. Like, what is the worth of all of this? What is this other nation or other country trying to accomplish? And why do these children have to go to war? Are there not enough adults that know magic at that level to be able to fight? It's a hard question to ask when you don't have all the information, but it is an interesting one to do so.
Yeah, and that's why I think this anime is like really cool, because it's bringing up a lot of good questions. And I think Sheena's like a good example of someone questioning all of those things, but like not having all the answers.
Yes.
When she talks to like the adults, they kind of like lay out like, this is why we're doing stuff. How would you?
But even then,
changed?
you see the teacher later on when she has that little mentee bee. You know, she's like, I have to do this.
Yeah,
I have to do this because these kids don't understand. And if I send them off to war with like the idea that there's all flowers and cookies out there, like they're just gonna die, and it's on me.
Yeah,
like I am. Yeah, it's. I think they. Yeah, it started off weird, but I'm on board. I think the show's really cool so far.
I'm glad that we picked this one.
Yes.
But we start with episode 4 of I Want to Love You Till Your Dying Day. And it picks up where episode 3 left off, where Mimi exposed her secret that she is already dead. And Mimi is like, I don't get why I'm dead, but that's just what the grown-ups say. But Mimi sees some daisies in the distance and are like, what are those? And the teacher is watching the girls having their secret conversation from a window with smoke coming out of her wand. Back in class, they're doing magical history, and Sheena is still trying to figure out what Mimi means about already being dead. But today, they're going to go over resurrection magic, and the teacher is like, anyone know what that is? And Sadon raises her hand and says, it's magic that trades the user's life with someone deceased, and resurrecting them and granting eternal life, and is the most forbidden spell.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And I mean, she just like looks directly at Mimi and she's like, you guys, hello.
But some boys in the front are like, why is that shit forbidden? And the teacher tells them to shut the fuck up, and then calls on Sheena and asks why she thinks it's forbidden. And she says it's cruel to make someone live forever.
It's the opposite of what most people would think, because at the end of the day, you want to live a long life, you want to live a fruitful life, but making somebody live forever is pretty fucking cruel, man.
Yeah, because they didn't choose it. You basically chose for them to live forever. They weren't like, I want to live forever.
The chances of you becoming a product of like there's like a statistic the longer you live, obviously, the more exponential you're going to like end up in an earthquake or a natural disaster, which would incapacitate you permanently. Even if you could live forever, if your bones could break, you eventually will just be stuck underground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like,
and that's insane.
It's like Deadpool in the X-Men movie, where like they were in the future and then the Sentinels like had all the crazy technology to like absorb their powers and stuff, and then basically made mutants extinct, and then they had to like go back in time to stop it or whatever.
Days of Future Past?
Maybe. But in this example, like Deadpool, he like can't die. So I believe they had like an exposition in that movie where they were just like, yeah, they couldn't kill Deadpool. So they basically just like cut him up and just sealed him in like 5 different boxes and then just scattered him around the earth, and no one's ever going to find that shit. And he's just alive in a box somewhere and he can't die. He just is there forever. Yeah. So it's kind of like that same principle. Like you can't die, but then, you know, if Mimi got captured by the enemies and then just shoved in a box, like she's not dead, but then she can't like restore herself because she has like a physical restraint around her. So she's just stuck in this box forever until someone finds her and decides to open it.
I would assume she would have enough magic power to be able to destroy whatever box she is in, unless they have like seals on her or something. I think we'll get there and we'll have that conversation with this show, because I do think the more that we get into it, I think that the title is about Sheena more so, but the title very well could be about Mimi, where Sheena in the end could give her life to reverse the resurrection magic and let her go. This is all theoretical, but I just think that the show's really cool.
Yeah, no, it is. But the teacher is like, well, Sheena, that's wrong, but kind of right. And the teacher says trading one life for another is never good, which is why it was banned. Fran meets up with the teacher and she's like, check this shit out. And she uses her smoke to replay Mimi telling Sheena her secret. And Fran is like, shit, well, I'll take care of it. Cuts to Sheena and Mimi in the library, and Sheena is looking up resurrection magic, but can't find anything more than that it's forbidden. But then Ari and Sadon roll up, but then there is an announcement for students 1407 in 1408, which is Mimi and Sheena, to report to the nurse's office. They get there, and Mimi is like, where the fuck's the food? And Fran tells her to go ask the teacher for some, leaving Sheena and Fran. And Fran is like, I hear you know Mimi's secret, as she lights up a smoke. Fran is like, well, it's pretty much what you think. She was resurrected, and it was her mother. And resurrected people are basically relics of the past. But Mimi is so strong they keep her around for war, and has been fighting for years. The resurrected have their bodies stay the same as they were when they are revived and never age. And Sheena is like, oh, so she's just going to keep fighting? And Fran is like, yup, until the war ends. And Sheena is like, that isn't fair. But Fran is like, oh, okay. Well, you go out and fight instead of Mimi. And she says everyone is safe because Mimi is their ultimate weapon. So here, just a tidbit of something I noticed. In the past episode, I think Sheena was having a monologue talking about Mimi, where she's like, Mimi fucking sucks at math, but she fucking is great at history. And now we kind of know why she's great at history, is because she's lived.
You fucking lived it.
She's lived through it. So that's why she's so good at it. And she probably gives 2 shits about math, like at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just thought that was like an interesting connection that you can make with something that they said earlier in the anime to new information that was provided. But Mimi comes busting in and is like, teacher had no snacks. And Sheena is like, well, you want to go bake some cookies? And Mimi is like, fuck yeah. And they leave. And Fran reminds Sheena that all of that conversation was confidential. They bake cookies and Sheena processes her thoughts about what Fran said. But then it cuts to some strategy meeting about how they're going to move the kid squads around, and the enemy's counterattacks have been more fierce lately. But they're like, the data shows kid magic shoulders are more effective than conventional soldiers. So there we go. We get like a little bit of information where the reason why they're using child magic soldiers is because they're more effective than like dudes with guns, I guess. Conventional, whatever, military soldiers.
Yes, 100%. when you're silently able to like send a bolt of energy out. I mean, we've seen like Mimi obviously become a human nuke, but I think that it would be a lot quieter than guns.
Yeah, I don't exactly know how they're fighting this war. Like, we see that there's magic being cast on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know when they say conventional soldier, and I don't even know what time period they're in quite yet, or how like time has progressed in this world. Because by conventional soldiers, do they mean like armor and swords and shields and bows? Or are they talking about like tanks and guns and kind of modern weaponry?
I mean, mages would be broken if you had a sword and shield. You'd be like, do I ever get close? No.
No, you just shoot them right through the eye hole in the helmet and just microwave them from the inside.
Right.
But one of them is like, man, we're sending kids to die. And then the strategist dude is like, well, we'll just send Mimi. And she just blows everything up. Holla. And they're realizing they're relying on Mimi for literally everything. And Fran is at the meeting with the teachers. And they're like, why you hogging Mimi? But Fran was just sleeping during the meeting. The teacher and Fran have some tea outside. And Fran is like, whatever. They can't kick me out. They need my restoration magic. And she lights up again. And the teacher is like, hey, no smoking. But Fran doesn't care. And they talk about how Mimi's secret got out. And Fran is like, whatever, Sheena ain't no snitch. The teacher is like, what are you trying to achieve? And Fran is like, man, I'm just a nurse. See you later. And then she walks off. Obviously, Fran had a little bit more on her mind of what she's trying to achieve. But obviously, in this scene, you could see that she wasn't comfortable telling the other teacher about why she's doing what she's doing quite yet. The teacher is having flashbacks of sending Sheena's old roommate to war, and she seems to be struggling with it. And yeah, in this scene, like she was walking through the halls and then she gets to her room and she's kind of having like a mental breakdown of what she's doing, where she's sending these kids to war and these kids are dying. And like as their teacher, she's the one training them and sending them off to battle and then has to deal with them not coming back.
Yeah.
But the next day, the teacher is preparing another mock battle to reevaluate the kids. And Fran is like, man, you're going too hard on them. And the teacher brings up the fact that the kids couldn't process Sheena's old roommate's death. So they're distracted. And she wants to use the mock battle to restore a sense of urgency. Fran is like, man, you should be nicer to the kids and open up. And the teacher is like, I would if it gave them a better chance at survival. But that isn't the case. It cuts to Sheena and Mimi waking up, and Mimi is like, fuck yeah, breakfast. And Sheena thinks there's nothing she can do for Mimi. Math class ends, and Mimi is like, I hate math. And Sheena is like, well, it's pretty cool if you understand it. And Ari and Sadon roll up and are like, man, you sound like her mom.
You sound like her mom that sacrificed her life to make Mimi eternal.
And I think that's like kind of where this is going. And like Fran knows this as well, which is why she's kind of allowing what's going on with Sheena and Mimi. And probably Fran is trying, what she's trying to achieve, and in my opinion, is she's trying to give Mimi some semblance of normality within her life of being a war machine. And we talked about it, I think in the last episode, where Mimi said like, oh, you know, before the school, I was just in a dark place all alone, like by myself. I was just kind of hanging out.
Girl's locked up in a fucking dungeon.
Yeah, like they basically just had her in a box because they're like, man, what do we do with this fucking immortal, this killing machine
feral,
of a girl?
Immortal fucking 14-year-old. Yeah. And obviously, like, it's deteriorating her mind as well whenever she's like dying, because she's like losing semblances of like what the past is. Like, obviously she was in a box, so she can't have all the answers, but she's still a 14-year-old. Like, your fucking frontal lobe isn't fully developed and you're just immortal from there. Sick.
Yeah. And I think that's Fran and Sheena. They're kind of like working towards the same goal. And I don't know, maybe it might be a little more nefarious for Fran. We don't know yet, where if she allows Sheena to basically be Mimi's mom, then she'll have more incentive to like fight. Or if at any point Mimi's like, I don't want to fight anymore, I'm going to stop, they could use Sheena as basically like a bargaining chip for be like, hey, if you don't keep fighting, we're just going to take care of Sheena.
We're just going to blow her fucking head off.
Yeah.
She's worthless to us, but worth so much because she's the bargaining chip to Mimi.
Yeah.
I think that is what's going to happen too. I think there's a super slide pact going to happen.
Mm-hmm. But they go to the lab for restoration practice class, and the kids talk about Gratitude Day, which is where they go around the school cleaning shit up to repay the school pretty much for taking them in as orphans. Cuts to Ari and Sadon in their room, and they talk about if Mimi is resurrected or not. And Sadon says a kid in the 17-year class said they saw someone get cut in half, but no casualties were reported at school. Ari is like, resurrection sounds so romantic, trading your life for someone else's and giving them everything you have. Sadon says she likes spells that make light in pretty displays and ones that let you write letters so you can put your thoughts into words. But then there's an explosion and they're like, the enemy attacks are getting stronger. And Sadon is like, Ari, what would you do if I died in battle right in front of you? And Ari is like, well, I'd probably head over to GamerSupps and use promo code DJ Montague at checkout to save herself 10% off of limited edition flavors like Immortal Resurrection Return Can't Die. And you too can go to gamersupps.gg and use promo code DJ Montague at checkout for 10% off of your order of that flavor and any other flavors of GamerSupps.
Yeah. Use code DJ Montague at checkout. Thank you, Greg. That was great. I was not prepared for that one at all. That was good. Off the cuff.
But no, Ari didn't tell Sadon that when she died in front of her in battle, she would use promo code DJ Montague at checkout at GamerSupps for 10% off. Ari says, well, let's not talk about that. And then their hands make out. But it cuts to Mimi and Sheena, and they go to a big field of flowers. And Mimi is like, this is fucking sick. And Sheena is like, how did you not know it was here? And Mimi is like, I don't know. I've been here since this place was called the Archive. And Sheena is like, how long have you been alive? And she's like, I don't know. But I remember this place when they decided to make it a school. And they wouldn't let me come out. So Mimi was in the archive. She was just probably filed away like a book somewhere.
In the dungeon and just vibing.
Yeah, under the section of M for Mimi.
Yes. It's a fucked up section.
Sheena is like, well, are you having fun now? And Mimi is like, yup, it's sick. And I get to spend time with you, Sheena. Sheena makes Mimi a little wreath of daisies and says her roommate from before taught her how. And Sheena thinks Mimi has lived a long time, but doesn't know anything about fun or happiness. And then that's basically how episode 4 ends. And I have a note here that says 100% Sheena is dying along with Adi and Sadon.
Oh, yeah. I think that they gone. All them kids are going to get blasted. But I also think that Mimi is going to be... Either Mimi is going to, sacrifice herself to give Sheena the power to be immortal, and then Sheena's gonna be the test subject forever, and because she's a good person, hopefully she ends the war somehow, or they're both out, dude. It's this show, it could go a multitude of different ways, and I'm really excited to watch it. It's such a sad storyline already with how the war is going, and it's just well done.
They've laid a very good foundation, and they have a lot of paths that they can take from what they've set up for us right now. And the way it's going, they are creating a very strong story and a very interesting show to watch. And I hope they can just carry it through until the end.
Yep, agreed.